So I just saw a recent interview with Evan Rachel Wood, who is the actress that plays Dolores, and she said how no one is going to be able to guess who is in the different bodies, the pearls, and then after the fact, it's going to be obvious. And then I made that theory video about how I thought it was different versions of Dolores in the different bodies, and most of you were like, yeah. We kind of already came to that conclusion. So I love that she thought it was going to be this shocking thing, and it turned out that most of us thought, yeah, it's probably just versions of Dolores. Now, I didn't think in episode 4 they were going to reveal to us who Dolores was putting in the different bodies. I thought for sure they were going to wait longer for that to be a big reveal. On the other hand, there's only 8 episodes in season 3, so we are halfway through, so maybe it does make sense. Now, just because Dolores replicated herself, her pearls, and put it in the different bodies, doesn't mean that there's not different personalities that maybe are stronger in different hosts, like the aggressive Wyatt personality being in Dolores's body, and then the more shy country girl in Hale's body, and so on. I still think there's going to be a further reveal that she made tweaks to her personality or made certain things dominant, such as you go back to season 2, you saw that you could up or go down on certain personality traits for the host. And I definitely think Dolores did that because she realized she needed different aspects of herself to win in the real world. Speaking of real world, I still don't think this episode disapproved that certain scenes are taking place in the mirror world. So what Rehoboam created to see what humanity is like and chart out their path. I still think there's a chance that Serac is a hologram or a manifestation of Rehoboam, and that the human Serac died long ago. I think with his backstory of seeing the thermonuclear event in Paris that destroyed it, that he would be more likely to go, okay, human bodies are very fragile. I need to do something to assure that I can continue living on and stop humanity from making these mistakes. And I would actually be interested, such as we saw the EMTs had to follow a certain program in order to work on a patient. If he is the person that has been pushing towards that sort of stuff, humans can't be trusted. Humans make terrible decisions. I know I talked about in my last review and also in my theory video that I felt like Westworld was going towards the cliche of the worst danger to humans are themselves. And then Serac said that basic thing, basically word for word, in this episode. It's a normal sci-fi trope. It's something we see over and over again, so I'm not surprised to see it in Westworld. And just like I said in my review and in my theory video, I'm not trying to say that Westworld is a generic sci-fi trope or stuck with them, but there are definitely certain patterns we see repeated in this series, and that doesn't mean that it's bad. You can follow a certain trope but still make the story your own and unique. So I could see Serac doing things to make sure that there was something that was always plotting the course or the plan for humans to follow, because they can't be trusted to do it on their own, and when they do it on their own, mistakes happen, people die, terrible things occur. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's a big reveal towards the end of this season either. Loved seeing the Man in Black, William, back. I know some of you in my live chat following the show, I do it every Sunday following the episode of Westworld, usually right after or 10 to 15 minutes after the episode. I know a lot of you were wondering if maybe Dolores made William have the hallucinations of his daughter, because we saw Hale prick him in the neck when he was taken to the institution. I'm not quite sure about it, especially hearing how Dolores talked about there is justice after all. Kind of sounds like he drove himself to insanity, honestly, with the guilt of his daughter. but that also could be wrong. Maybe this entirely was orchestrated by Dolores. I do think for Dolores, this is probably a really good feeling to see someone that murdered and raped her over and over and over again ends up rotting in a cell. At the center of his maze at the end of the game is just a broken man that has lost everyone that ever loved him, and he's stuck to just rot in his own brain. So for her, that has to feel pretty good. Now, I know a lot of us remember at the end of season 2, there was an after credit showing William in a host body. We were told that is far in the future. So how that happens, I don't know. He is in an institution, a mental institution. At some point, he is put in a host body. I would be interested to know if that means Dolores eventually fails, and so they end up putting him in a host, or maybe Dolores has a change of heart if she does end up ruling Earth. I don't know. But the time when William is in a host body is far in the future, according to those that work on the show. I would just be interested to know how far in the future that is. I gotta say, I'm not usually one for long, drawn-out, crazy fights, especially between machines. Stubbs versus Dolores was so good. And it wasn't overdrawn fucking CGI craziness. And I love her approaching Stubbs and going, this doesn't have anything to do with you. And Stubbs going, yeah, unfortunately, I am a part of this because of Bernard. This isn't personal. And Dolores saying the same thing. Yeah, this isn't personal. And the swelling of the music as they were fighting, that was actually a really cool fight scene. And I loved it. And I love seeing those two go at each other. I could stand for more scenes like that. Especially if they're choreographed as well as that one was. Hey, random thought really quick. Remember when Ashley said that 5 miles swim to shore destroyed the rest of my shoulder? Does anyone imagine Bernard clinging on to Ashley's back as he fucking swam the 5 miles to shore? I kinda do. Maeve, absolutely loved her this episode. Loved seeing her walk out in Singapore and how she was disrupting everything and her interference. I was talking a bit about this with you guys in the live chat. How her powers are definitely different than Dolores. Maeve has this ability to control technology in a way that Dolores cannot. Now, Yakuza Dolores, I'm gonna say that because someone said it in the live chat and I absolutely love labeling that as Yakuza Dolores. Obviously was in control of the tech she gave to her men, but I don't think that means she's in control of all technology. I think this is definitely a special ability of Maeve. She speaks the language. She knows how to freeze them or control them, where we really haven't seen Dolores use that same ability on Maeve's level. I do find it sad that Sorok is basically letting her know there is no world where hosts and humans are equal. There is no world where hosts can live in the real world with humans. It's just not going to happen, which I talked a bit about this again in my live chat, sorry, where humans don't have a good history of working with their own species. So why would we try to live with another? And we did, and those were the Neanderthals, and we fucking kicked them off our planet. So, I mean, I agree with Sorok that humans would not coexist with AI to that level very easily, but it's also kind of sad to me that Maeve is willing to live in a simulated world in the Valley Beyond with her daughter, and she's okay. And I say this every time, philosophy majors, please don't come at me. I find it interesting that Maeve is willing to accept this simulated world as a real enough world for her to live in, and that she's okay with that, and it's a goal. I still think eventually Dolores and Maeve will team up, but I think for now, it's kind of sad that Maeve is willing to go to a simulated world, and that's an end goal for her, and she's okay with it. And she's okay with someone saying, yeah, you can never share this plant with us. We'll never let you. Fuck you. Now, Caleb, I'm kind of wondering, we saw a preview for the next episode, if he's going to start to doubt working with Dolores, with how cold she is willing to kill, and how far he's willing to go, and if he's starting to question what he's doing with her. I think maybe at some point we are going to see that. We also know that Caleb is unpredictable, so Dolores isn't very trusting, which is why she copied versions of herself to put in hosts. So her trusting someone that's unpredictable, I don't know, seems a bit off for her. I feel like she has to have a contingency. So overall, I really like this episode. I still like episode 2 and 3 more, but I like that this episode gave us some answers and we're moving forward with the plot a bit faster, which again is good because we're halfway through the season, so we should start to get some answers. Of course, this is Westworld, so expect some big punches and twists and turns as we go to the finale and even in the finale. But as always, let me know all your crazy theories, predictions, what you thought about this episode, if you liked it, if you didn't, what you think is going to happen next episode. Like, subscribe, and come back for more videos.